Hi. Boy, life isn't easy. I don't think any human being, well, I think the vast, vast majority of human beings know that life isn't easy. But we're not used to talking about it. Very few people are open to talking about life not being easy. It seems like, in fact, we go out of our way to convince ourselves and other people that life is easy for us. You know, like if somebody asks you, you just pass them on the street and say, "Hey, how's it going?" "Good, how are you?" "I'm good too." "That's good." "Are you really?" I mean, that that was, you might as well not even have said anything to that person, but it's uncomfortable to just pass somebody and not say something. So you exchange these meaningless untruths. But nobody thinks of it that way. You don't think, "Oh, I just lied to that guy. I just told him I'm doing good." And he doesn't think that either. So it's not even on our radar, usually, how caught up in this need to act okay, this need to portray okayness, instead of admitting to ourselves that, man, like, life is hard. Life is difficult. What makes it difficult? Because I look at a squirrel outside and life is not difficult for him or her. Even when it's 20 below zero out there and they're in their nest and, they're like, it's not an easy moment for them, but they're not thinking about how it's not an easy moment for them. And they're not anticipating, okay, it's 4 hours until the sun comes up and the temperature, it will warm up 15 degrees and I'll be okay. They're not thinking that. They're just in the moment and they're not in their minds. And that's the difference. That's what makes their okayness genuinely okay compared to our, professed okayness to the world. "I'm good, how are you?" Because just looking at my own experience inside my head, my mental landscape, just watching it, there's a lot of fear in here. There's a lot of fear. And it controls me a lot more than I'm usually willing to look at and admit, confirm. Because it causes me to make decisions, certain decisions, and not make other decisions, to do this thing and not to do that thing. So the fear really is a master, and I'm its slave a lot of the time. Because I will go far out of my way to avoid it, to avoid the fear. And I think all of us are familiar with that, even if we aren't consciously familiar with it. Even if we don't recognize it, I think that that's a very intimate part of us, and that fear is just woven into our ideas and our actions and our inactions and our judgments and our triggers. Fear but if I look at it, if I can see it when it first comes, when it's first coming in my mind, in my internal experience of this, my experience of experiencing, when I first feel that bubbling up, it's easy to not do anything about it. It's easy to just sort of recoil from it unconsciously, because it's so instantaneous, to recoil from it and to shove it down, to not want to feel it, experience it. But if I look at it and see it coming and don't do that, don't instantly shove it away or be afraid of the fear, and just let it happen, mindfully be there with it, to stand with it and experience it, it dissipates it in a much healthier way than just shoving it back down into the cellar and standing on the cellar door and saying, nope, you can't come out, because it wants to work its way through me. It wants to be digested. And my go-to move that is so well practiced behind the scenes, it's not a conscious thing, but my go-to move is to shove it down and to be afraid of the fear. And of course, fear is fearful. So it's going to be there. I can't expect to not feel fear when fear comes up. The only thing I can do with it that's healthy is to just be there with it, to do something else instead of the usual. Because with feelings, with fear coming up, thoughts are going to come up. Maybe thoughts like, I don't want this. Oh, no, I don't want this. This isn't happening. What do I need to do to avoid this? Or images of things that have happened in the past that this feeling reminds me of. And then it compounds it, because now I've got this feeling of fear, and now the mind has come up with images from the past that match it. And so now there's a story behind the fear, and it gets bigger, it becomes more real. But instead of doing that, when I first feel the fear coming up, instantaneously, boom, there's the first whiff of it, the first smell of fear in me. There's a choice now to either just do the usual with it, or to say, all right, here's this fear, and I know that thoughts are going to come up to want to explain this fear. They might be thoughts of my past, images of things that happened, and they're going to come up. I can't help that, because that's the pattern that I've reinforced for so long, but it's not helpless. There's a real treasure in having an option, because I can say, all right, these thoughts are going to come up, but I don't have to feed them like I normally do. I don't have to agree with them. I can just do something else while this fear is rising, and while these thoughts are coming up. I can put my attention somewhere else, and it digests this feeling in a more natural way than just going off the deep end like usual and getting stuck in the same cycle of dealing with it, which doesn't deal with it. It just makes more of it. It just piles more on. And I'm so grateful to Michael Singer and other people that walk me through this and show me that that is right. Eckhart Tolle does the same thing, teaches the same thing. It's just in different words. You know, these people to me are like candles in the darkness. And I know what I need to do. I know how to get out of it, but it's not as easy as that. Because you have to do it. I know how to digest this stuff, but it isn't always easy to digest it. It isn't always easy to stand in that fire and let it burn without doing the usual things to throw water on it, which isn't really water. It's gasoline that I've thrown on it my whole life, thinking that it's water and that it's dealing with this fear, but it doesn't deal with it. It just shoves it down and builds it up more. But it's effing hard to do what I need to do what I know that I need to do. So just seeing the door, the exit door, isn't going through the exit door. That's just seeing it. Going through it takes more. And that's my work. That's my work on a daily basis. And thank you for listening to me just babble.